next Guardians topic in before we get Spencer German on and talk a little more Browns. There's nothing like the NBA playoffs, guys. The intensity, the buzzer beaters, fans losing their minds. It's the kind of atmosphere you must experience live, kind of like the Sphere. And this year's finals are already delivering. If you want in, Game Time makes it easy and fast to get your best seats available. Even for the biggest playoff games, prices on the app actually drop closer to tip-off. And with killer last-minute deals, panoramic seat views, and no surprise fees, Game Time is a total game changer. It's not just for the NBA, it's for concerts and NFL tickets too. And with Game Time's guarantee, your tickets are 100% authentic and will arrive on time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Once again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Since the Guardians recalled David Fry from his injury, they have a bit of a logjam at first base and designated hitter. Manzardo, Santana, Fry. One of those guys has been sitting in each of the last 6 or 7 games they have played. And lately it's been Manzardo. And Jason, I want to start with you on this one because you mentioned it yesterday. In your mind, there is no excuse for Manzardo not to be an everyday player. So if you were Stephen Vogt, how would you handle this logjam at first base and DH?
Probably not much better than he's been doing it because I think Kyle Manzardo has to be in the lineup every day. I agree with that. I'd play him at first base every day, but Santana's a better fielder. Ultimately, this sounds ludicrous. Ultimately, I would trade Carlos Santana because you can get an asset for him. He's hitting well. He's playing very well right now. But that's one way to loosen the logjam. You play Kyle Manzardo at first every day and David Fry's the DH. But they are so platoon obsessed right now.
It's driving me nuts, Jay.
Yeah, that I don't know that they want David Fry in the lineup against righties. But, if you can create – this is a franchise that really excels at creating assets. So if you trade Josh Naylor and you get Ciccone for him, you just create an asset because then you sign Santana. Now if you flip Santana and you get another asset for him, it loosens a little bit of that logjam, and you've just now added another asset, which they are really good at collecting. So I know that may sound insane, but with the trade deadline coming up, teams like the Mariners and Red Sox are desperate for first baseman. I would look at trading them.
It doesn't sound insane at all. That's exactly what I would do. Jay, I'm to the point now where I'm like up to here with frustration over this platoon nonsense. Mm-hmm. I remember when we were at spring training last year, I can't remember who it was that told me, someone that was with the Guardians that said, a lot of guys, platoon, I think someone told me that, you may have heard this too, Stephen Vogt thinks platoon is a bad word.
And yet they lead the league in.
Well, then, if he I think what he's saying is he doesn't like the stigma that comes along with platooning guys, and I agree. I don't either. You need 8 positional players, everyday guys that you roll out there. You don't mix and match. They're obsessed with the lefty-righty thing, obsessed with it to the point where I can't even enjoy this team because I don't know who's playing day to day because I don't know whether they're facing a lefty or righty.
They're the same as Tampa. Tampa does the same thing.
I know, and
it's baseball in 2020. I remember
it's not enjoyable.
When we had Mike Hargrove on, because I remember Mike saying this in the 90s. Everyday players are everyday players for a reason. The lineup was the same every single day in 95 and
as it should have been.
And Alvaro Espinoza never played.
Pinch hit maybe once in a while.
But this is just how the game has changed and when we had Mike on, again, Mike is very old school, and I wanted to ask him, and he's like, no, I still think the same way. Like, everyday players are everyday players for a reason. They're your best guys. They need to be in the lineup.
And you know what? I'm older. Yeah. Maybe it's driven into me.
This is the new way of baseball.
This is what analytics can't measure, Jason, and this is what drives me nuts. Human emotion.
Yeah.
When you sit a guy 3 times a week because of the pitcher that's on the mound, you're telling him you're not good enough. That's what you're telling him. And you get it. Here's what I think the better approach is: do what Josh Naylor did. You tell these guys, you better get better against opposite pitchers or against like pitchers, or you're not going to be here.
What's nuts about it is Naylor's numbers against lefties were horrendous. And Bull and I got into it a couple times because Adam kept saying he can't hit lefties. I'm like, Adam, he hasn't had enough at bats.
Right.
You have to give him more at bats and let him prove that.
He worked on it.
And he worked on it, and he got pretty good. Manzardo can hit lefties.
I know.
So Naylor couldn't, and they played him every day. Manzardo can, and they won't. So it is. I do wish, of all the guys that need to be in the lineup every day, Kyle Manzardo to me is at the top of the list.
It's what you said about the Browns earlier. Yeah, Nick Chubb is a piece of our heart, but how the carries that he takes away from Judkins, like how does that stunt the young man's growth?
Right.
Same thing with Manzardo. Manzardo is a future star in this league. Why are you benching him half of the time?
And baseball, more than any sport, I believe, is a game of rhythm. It's rhythm at the plate. All pitching is trying to disrupt the batter's timing and rhythm.
No question.
And the rhythm of the season, there's games every day. You have routines, you have processes. And when you're taking one of your brightest future players and you sit them for 2 or 3 days in a row, you're disrupting that rhythm and that timing. So not only, like you said, the psychological aspect, it's just the routine of the day. And you need to see at-bats, and you need to.
It's not just first base. At right field, I'm losing my mind with right field.
It doesn't matter who they put out there.
Here's what I don't get. You had Will Brennan, who drove you nuts.
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
Really nice guy, friend of the show.
I love him.
I'm tired of seeing Will Brennan and John Kenzie Noel and Logan Allen. I know he pitched well the other day. I'm done with Logan Allen.
I'm not. I'm not done with Logan Allen yet. But here's what I'll say about Will Brennan. To upgrade from Will Brennan, you've got Nolan Jones and John Kenzie Noel. Mm-hmm. And Tyvis sent a home run, a text to the group yesterday. John Kenzie going deep in Columbus. I don't care.
Yeah. He hit too.
You know, Rocchio's tearing it up in Columbus. I don't care. You know why? Because they're doing it against pitchers that won't be major leaguers. I'm telling you, I know this sounds like it's an arrogant statement. And I'm not diminishing these guys in AAA. They're professional baseball players. They're great. But as you look across the sports landscape and you look at the difference between G League basketball players and NBA players, there's a huge difference.
Yes.
If you look at the difference between college and the NFL, now it's not amateur anymore because they're getting paid. But to me, the biggest difference in levels and at positions is pitching major league to AAA. There's a lot of pitchers in AAA that will never sniff Major League Baseball. Somebody told me once 90% of us are here, so the 10% that have a chance to make the major leagues have someone to beat up on every day. And that's not wrong.
That's not wrong. That's
so
funny.
John Kenzie's going to run into a bunch down there. And the other one is Brian Rocchio. Oh, he's tearing it up. We got to bring him up. No, we don't. We've seen it.
Well, I'm fine for bringing him back up because Arias isn't killing it either. But I agree. Like I said yesterday, Rocchio's 24. He should be doing pretty well in AAA.
Yes.
Like, if you can't handle AAA at 24.
But you know what some guys are? I call them 4As.
Oh, for sure.
Brian Rocchio might be a 4A. That destroys AAA ball.
Estevan Florial last year was the...
Yes.
Yeah.
No, there's a lot of guys. You could make a league of 4A guys.
Yeah.
You really could. John Kenzie Noel. With Arias the other day, did you see he in his first 3 at-bats, it was the day that Santana hit the home run, Wednesday, against the Reds. In his first 3, I've never seen this before. In his first 3 at-bats, the first 8 pitches, he swung and missed. He was 0 for 8 on swings and misses. Now, I said, oh, my God.
I was at Browns camp. I didn't see
He's
that.
about to strike out for the 3rd time, which would be an immaculate inning equivalent to. He swung on a ball, and his swings looked like he didn't want to be there. He was like this, chasing balls that were outside. On the last pitch, on the 0-2 pitch, he fouled one off. And then there was a ball or 2, and then he swung and missed at strike 3. So in his first 3 at-bats, he had 3 strikeouts. In his 4th at-bat, he went down 0-2, ended up, I think, grounding out. But I'm just like, this guy's not present today. In everything. He made an error in the first inning. Everything about his game that day told me he really wanted to be somewhere else. I don't get it with these guys. I don't get it.
Well, we'll talk plenty more Guardians here on our WKYC show coming up in 28 minutes. You can watch it on the WKYC Plus app.